Ted Bundy described himself as the cold-hearted person you'll ever meet. His crimes indeed prove that statement true. During the spring and summer of 1974, police in the Pacific Northwest was in a panic. Young women at colleges across Washington and Oregon were disappearing at an alarming rate. In just 6 months, 6 women had been abducted. Panic in the area reached a fever pitch when Janice Ann Ott and Denise Marie Naslund disappeared from a crowded beach at Lake Sammamish State Park in broad daylight. On the day Ott and Naslund vanished, several other women remembered being approached by a man who had tried and failed to lure them to his car. But the police dismissed Ted Bundy as a suspect, thinking it unlikely that a clean-cut law student with no adult criminal record could be the perpetrator because he didn't fit the profile. For a time, he fooled everyone, including the cops who didn't suspect him, the prison guards whose facilities he escaped from, the women he manipulated, and the wife who married him after he was caught. Ted Bundy was born in Vermont, where he would one day terrorize. His mother was Eleanor Louise Cowell, and his father was unknown. His grandparents ashamed of their daughter's pregnancy and raised him as their child. For nearly all his childhood, he believed his mother to be his sister. His grandfather regularly beat Ted and his mother, causing her to run away with her son to live with cousins in Tacoma, Washington, when Bundy was 5 years old. Eleanor met and married hospital cook Johnny Bundy, who formally adopted the young Ted Bundy and gave him his last name, but Bundy disliked his stepfather. Little is known about Bundy's childhood, though Bundy described himself as a loner who would stalk the seedy streets at night to spy on women. Many who remember Bundy from high school tell him as reasonably well-known and well-liked. Ted Bundy graduated from high school in 1965, then enrolled in the nearby University of Puget Sound before transferring to the University of Washington to study Chinese. Bundy then started dating Elizabeth Klopfer, who was the first to report Bundy to police as a suspect in the Pacific Northwest murders. Also Ann Rule, who met Bundy around the same time while they were both working at Seattle's Suicide Hotline Crisis Center. In January of 1974, the disappearances began. Bundy broke into Karen Sparks' apartment. His assault left her in a 10-day coma and with permanent disabilities. His next victim and first confirmed murder were Linda Ann Healy. A month after his assault on Karen Sparks, Bundy broke into Healy's apartment in the early morning, knocked her unconscious, and carried her out to his car. Years later, part of her skull was discovered from the locations where Bundy dumped his bodies. Afterward, Bundy continued targeting female students in the area. He would raping and killing them, dumping their bodies in a remote location in the woods. Bundy would often revisit these sites to have sex with their decaying corpses. In some cases, Bundy would decapitate his victims and keep their skulls in his apartment. Over the next 5 months, Bundy abducted and murdered 5 female college students in the Pacific Northwest. Responding to this rash of disappearances, police enlisted several government agencies to help look for the missing girls. Just as some of his victims' bodies were being discovered in the woods, Bundy was accepted to law school in Utah and moved to Salt Lake City. While living there, he continued to rape and murder young women, including a hitchhiker in Idaho and 4 teenage girls in Utah. Klopfer was aware that Bundy had relocated to the area. She then called the police a second time to reaffirm her suspicion that Bundy was behind the killings. In August 1975, finally he was convicted of kidnapping and assault and sent to prison. But he was soon able to escape from custody for the first of 2 times in his life. Fortunately, he was recaptured after 6 days of being on the run. Bundy's next escape occurred just 6 months later. On January 15, 1978, within just 15 minutes, he sexually assaulted and killed Margaret Bowman and Lisa Levy. He then attacked Kathy Kleiner and Karen Chandler, who suffered horrific injuries, including broken jaws and missing teeth. He broke into the apartment of Cheryl Thomas, beat her so severely until she lost her hearing permanently. Still on the run, on February 8, Bundy abducted 12-year-old Kimberly Diane Leach and murdered her, concealing her body on a pig farm. But his reckless driving caught the attention of the police. Bundy was ultimately convicted and placed on death row at Florida's Rayford prison. Bundy was finally executed by an electric chair on January 24, 1989.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment.